My name is Nickel, and these are 10 weird facts about the Pokemon Mystery Dungeon series. If you're a fan of Pokemon in general, I would highly suggest you checking out the video on this channel about Yokai Watch. It might end up being your new favorite franchise. Also, at the end of this video I do an opening, so make sure to stick around for that. The late Satoru Iwata asked Tsunkazu Ishihara, president and CEO of the Pokemon Company, how Pokemon Mystery Dungeon came to be. Ishihara said that it all started with him working together with a company called Chunsoft on a Famicom game titled Tetris 2 plus Bombliss. He had played another of Chunsoft's games called Torneko's Great Adventure and fell in love with the roguelike game style. The game was set up so that every time you played, the terrain, the items, and even the location of the monsters was changed, which led to gameplay that felt limitless. Ishihara said that after he started working on the Pokemon games, he was very keen to create a game that would connect the two, to have Pokemon and the existing Mystery Dungeon series to cross over, and thus, Pokemon Mystery Dungeon arose from that desire. A big part of the Mystery Dungeon games is based on the concept of a human becoming a Pokemon. That idea originated from Spike Chunsoft's Shinichiro Tomi. Tomi stated it simply as, one day you become a Pokemon, and everything branched out from that point story-wise. Ishihara said that when they were working on the original Pokemon Mystery Dungeon title, Tomi was developing the stories based on that concept of turning into a Pokemon. So much is left up to chance in the way that a dungeon-based RPG can be played out, and since not all players will have the same fixed experiences, incorporating a compelling story despite all of that was quite the challenge. Tomi stated that he initially came across this problem when he was working on the first Shiren the Wanderer game. His solution to the problem was the idea that the system is the story. He went on to explain further that normally in an RPG, you don't get the most powerful weapon or ability until much deeper in the game. But due to the randomization process of these dungeon-based games, the player can find the most powerful weapon right at the start. So rather than forcing a series of circumstances to prevent this, Tomi said that he designed the game that simply allowed the story to be changed due to the game's system. From that moment on, the story for that specific player will be different because the system is the story. The first Pokemon Mystery Dungeon games in the series where the main character isn't a human that transformed into a Pokemon weren't even released in the US. They were only available in Japan, and there were 3 of them. In fact, they weren't even available on any Nintendo portable consoles. Each of the games focused on a type of Pokemon. Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, Keep Going, Blazing Adventure Squad focused on fire types. Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, Go For It, Light Adventure Squad focused on electric types, and Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Let's Go Stormy Adventure Squad focused on water types. And yes, those are the real names, they're really that long. The game that you choose to play will determine the available Pokemon, obviously, and even the home village's design. The games also feature Arceus, who you could only see in statue form in Explorers of the Sky, and unlike previous Mystery Dungeon games, these ones aren't as plot heavy. If none of these games were released on Nintendo portable consoles, what were they released on? The Wii, but only via WiiWare. WiiWare games were downloadable via the Wii Shop channel. Some other WiiWare games that you might be familiar with are My Pokemon Ranch and Pokemon Rumble. Each of the WiiWare Pokemon Mystery Dungeon games cost 1,200 Wii points. Typically, in the Pokemon Mystery Dungeon games, you have to take a quiz at the start of it, which will determine the Pokemon that you play as. These 3 were the first Pokemon Mystery Dungeon games that don't have a quiz. The game just lets you choose your Pokemon. Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Ginjis Rescue Team was a manga that was originally syndicated in the US via Nintendo Power from September of 2006 to February of 2007. The original Japanese version appeared in CoroCoro in the fall of 2005. It was based on Red and Blue Rescue Team and followed the adventures of Ginji, a boy that was turned into a Torchic and formed a rescue team with Mudkip. There were a few differences between the manga and the games, a major one of those being that after the main character saves the Pokemon world, he does not choose to remain a Pokemon.
Oh my gosh, I've become human again! What do you know?
And when he is in Pokemon form, he actually does remember what it is like to be a human. The natural disaster in the game is caused by an asteroid that ends up being destroyed by Rayquaza, but in the manga, the disasters are caused by Groudon awakening. When Gengar rescues Gardevoir in the game, this changes him from his cold ways, but in the manga, he may have just died while battling Groudon.
Double edge! Gengar!
I didn't run away this time, Ninetales.
Gengar.
When Blue Rescue Team was initially released in Japan, there was an issue where it would wipe all of the data from any Game Boy Advance games in the DS's second slot. The only exception to this was if you had Red Rescue Team in the Game Boy Advance slot. Fortunately, this was fixed. These games had 5 Pokemon from the upcoming unreleased generation, which is the most amount of Pokemon from an unreleased generation in a game. The ones that were featured were Lucario, Mime Jr., Weavile, Bonsly, and Munchlax, although you couldn't actually play him, he was just an NPC. Red Rescue Team and Blue Rescue Team were the only directly paired Pokemon games to be released on separate handheld consoles to date. This led to a strained situation in South Korea. The first console to be launched within Korea by Korean Nintendo Central was the DS. That meant South Korea didn't get a release of Red Rescue Team since it was on Game Boy Advance. All they got was half of the pair, Blue Rescue Team, because it was on the DS. South Korea also launched a demo version of Blue Rescue Team for the PC called Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Gold Rescue Team. It was available for download exclusively from the official Korean Pokemon Mystery Dungeon website in August of 2007. The subtitle to the game says Challenge the Gold Rank. Even though it was a demo for Blue Rescue Team, it didn't have the 2 screens that a DS would. It displayed like Red Rescue Team on a single 240 by 160 screen. In Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Explorers of Time and Explorers of Darkness, there is the Temporal Tower and the Spatial Rift. The naming behind these two is derived from Dialga and Palkia. Dialga is known as the temporal Pokemon, and Palkia is known as the spatial Pokemon. They have different names in the Japanese versions though, where the Temporal Tower is called the Dimension Tower and the Spatial Rift is called the Sky Fisher. In the English version of Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Gates to Infinity, the Pokemon Swanna behind this counter makes a reference to Carly Rae Jepsen's song Call Me Maybe. Purugly and Toxicroak are 2 Pokemon that are seen chasing Espeon in Gates to Infinity. In Pokemon Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum, Team Galactic has 2 commanders that have those exact signature Pokemon, Purugly and Toxicroak. Thus, this may be a reference to Team Galactic. Of the legendary boss Pokemon in Gates to Infinity, one of them you can fight is Ho-Oh. Interestingly enough, you can actually battle a shiny Ho-Oh. If you manage to do that, it's more powerful. It'll have a different set of moves and even more HP. Spike Chunsoft, previously known as just Chunsoft, is the developer behind the Pokemon Mystery Dungeon series. Before this, they were largely known for developing the first few Dragon Quest games, which in Japan are called Dragon Warrior games. The first Mystery Dungeon game by Chunsoft was Torneko's Great Adventure. The protagonist of the game was Torneko, who was the merchant from Dragon Quest IV. In the North American version, he was named Talon. Playing this specific game is what inspired Ishihara to want to make a Pokemon game in the same style. More recently, Chunsoft were the developers behind the DS game that has since grown a cult following, 9 Hours, 9 Persons, 9 Doors. It's a visual novel that follows a branching storyline that has multiple endings. When it came time to release a Pokemon Mystery Dungeon game on the Nintendo 3DS, Spike Chunsoft's Seiicho Nagahata elaborated further on how they chose to make the best use of the 3DS. Nagahata stated that they were most interested in incorporating the 3DS's augmented reality features into Pokemon Mystery Dungeon. They wanted to pick up where Pokemon Dream Radar and Pokédex 3D left off in terms of augmented reality. They used this system to discover a Magna Gate in order to explore new mystery dungeons, which basically means that if you point your 3DS at any circle that it can recognize, it will take you into a new mystery dungeon. Yeah, this works with basically every circle there is, and you can even draw your own circles to enter into a mystery dungeon. The properties of the dungeon are directly based on the circle that you point your 3DS at. For example, the visuals of the dungeon are determined by the object's color, and the dungeon's difficulty level is determined by the size of the object. Ishihara said, quote, "There may be a manhole cover near you that looks like a dungeon entrance. I wondered whether we could create a game in which players would think, the monsters in that sewer are really tough." Regarding the ability to use augmented reality in order to enter into a new mystery dungeon, Satoru Iwata said this, "I do sometimes wish I had been born into this generation." My name is Nickel, and I got a package from the Amazon wish list. This was sent to me by Mr. Hildebrand, which I'm going to be leaving his YouTube information in the description of this video, so make sure you check out his channel to say thank you for supporting and sending whatever's in here. And I don't actually know what's in here yet. My best guess is that it's, because I know on my wish list, I have some Wii U games. Maybe a Wii U game? But why would it come in this box? I don't know. Do they send Wii U games in this box? Boxes like this? Like, this seems too big. I don't know. Okay, let's just open it up. Let's open it up and find out. Okay, so we got a GameCube controller adapter for Wii U. That's awesome. And also, two things, double Amazon wishlist opening. Boom! The white GameCube controller that is in Japanese. You know what we should do is... maybe we can play Smash on this Sunday stream. That'd be fun. That'd be a fun way to use this, because I've never actually had a GameCube controller before. I've always just played on the pad. Okay, this is what we'll do. If you want to play Smash this Sunday, I'll be picking people to add from the comments of this video, the people that both... I guess that if you did both, if you liked the video and left a comment, I'll be looking to see which people did both, and then I'll add them to my friends list if they're in the stream. That sounds fair, right? Yeah. Okay, so make sure. Leave a like on this video and a comment with your, like, your Nintendo ID and stuff like that, and then when I'm going to look for people during the stream to add, that's where I'll go. Come here. And we'll make this the video for all future Smash... like, whenever I want to play with somebody in Smash, I'll look at this video unless we make a new one or something. But, yeah. Also, don't forget, I'm really not good at Smash, so, I've never even owned a GameCube controller, so, keep that in mind. But, I will see you guys on stream. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you, Mr. Hildebrand. Don't forget to check out his channel. Bye, guys. Hope you enjoyed it.